Next question is from Ted Jontek.
That's the French sound.
Prime Minister Tony Abbott recently stated at the World Economic Forum in Davos that you shouldn't address debt and deficit with more debt and deficit, and adding that cutting back government spending, advocating cutting back on government spending with the private sector to carry the capital investment. The IMF, I believe, has criticised him, saying that this doesn't address economic growth or employment. Could such policies on their own undermine growth? And is there a place for some government spending to enhance growth and employment?
I think you're asking two questions here. One is fiscal consolidation, that some people call austerity, is that compatible with growth? And what we are saying in the sort of country-by-country analysis that we do is identify the situation in which the country is. A situation that has a heavy debt, that is running a high deficit, and that is under financing pressure because it cannot obtain financing from the markets at decent terms, is in a situation where it has to do fiscal consolidation. We see no alternative to that. On the other hand, a country that is not under such pressure should indeed focus on growth and a fiscal consolidation path that is sensible, that is anchored in the medium term, that indicates where it's going, at which speed, at which pace, but doesn't have to do the fiscal consolidation, the hard way, if you will, so that growth is compatible with a decent fiscal path going forward. Now, the second question you ask is there room for public spending in relation to growth creation and job creations? And to that, I would say there is a role for government to be involved and possibly for public spending as well. But it's going to be a question, again, of a country-by-country analysis, where I say that the government has to be involved. It has to procure the environment in which private sector investors are going to feel comfortable investing and putting their money. And that's a government's job, to make sure that the policies are known, that there is no uncertainty, that things are, predictable and are not, stuffed with corruption and all those things that are a brake on investment. And second, there are areas where there must be public spending, such as, for instance, very large infrastructure projects, for instance, where the return on investment is going to be, years and years away. In those kinds of projects, there is certainly space for public money to be invested, sometimes in partnership with the private sector, under those PPP arrangements, for instance. But I don't want to pass a sort of a general judgment of what is right, what is wrong. It's going to be country-specific, and it's going to be project-specific in a way. But I have no doubt in my mind that on some infrastructure projects, public investment, public money is actually helpful and needed.
Just briefly, do you perceive a kind of difference in philosophy between yourself and Treasurer Joe Hockey of Australia, who talks about the age of entitlement being over? And of course, what he's talking about there is the overspending, as he sees it, in the big European economies on social welfare, education, and so on.
Well, I know it's tempting to oppose one against the other. And I really don't want to go in that direction, because I believe the G20 and what we at the IMF do has to do with dialogue, comparing notes, exchange of information, best practices, and so on and so forth. And we have to continue doing that. But investment in health, education is absolutely necessary. And I hope we can talk at some stage about the role of inequality and how it impacts on growth. Clearly, investing in health, investing in education, making sure that there are equal opportunities for all is something where public money is needed. And it's not a question of, what did you call it? Vested rights? No, entitlement.
Entitlements. Yes, the age of entitlements is over, is Joe Hockey's phrase.
I'd respond by, investing in health and education is a priority.